It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about Redvelvet and the changes that were made. So, as you may have known, the skill time has gone from 20 seconds down to 15 seconds. Now, the biggest difference of what this makes is that it means that you don't have to wait 6 seconds for the skill to activate, which usually was about around the second skill activation for most cookies. So, I'm not saying that Redvelvet is completely viable now. There's still a lot more testing I have to do, but the team that you see before you is called Displacement and Control. At least that's the team nickname that I'm giving it. And the reason is Wildberry has the displacement of the knockback and the uppercut. Redvelvet pulls the back end team member to the front, which you would think would be Caramel Arrow here, but that actually goes outside of the grid reach, so it's going to be Redvelvet grabbing Herb. And then Clotted Cream is going to be taking the front cookie and pushing it back. And then once everything's lined up, Sorbet is going to be hitting for the front row, which should be all collected together. So, mainly this focus is some stuns, which are from Wildberry, Cotton, and from Redvelvet, a little bit from Clotted Cream, and then the massive damage that is true damage coming from Sorbet Shark. So, just to show you how it plays out, the monocle's there for our healing because we need extra healing as we can, but we also needed the damage. So, as you can see, Redvelvet takes Herb and pulls Herb all the way to the front, which means Sorbet has a chance to strike down on Herb, giving less chances for them to heal and be out of safety range. Clotted Cream is pushing back Wildberry and Caramel Arrow on their team, giving us a chance to push through their barriers and defenses. And then, as you see, once again, Redvelvet pulled forward, and Sorbet did the line attack, taking down their forces. So, Redvelvet itself is not going to be doing a huge amount of damage here. 317, so not a tremendous amount. And I don't think that Redvelvet's changes make it that a tremendous amount of damage is being done. The toppings that I'm running are solid almonds, mostly because level 60 right now versus the level 70s, so that means it's a little harder for Redvelvet to survive for that reason. But in addition, if you just look at no toppings, the health is huge, the base attack is low, and the defense is high. So really, if I could build this more optimally, I would build it with even more defense and even more HP substats, so that as many activations Redvelvet could get could be possible, because the percentage on the skill itself is super high, and the stun is now 5 seconds. So my thought behind it is, if you can at least keep Redvelvet alive, it can be a very chunky body, and at level 70 I'm sure that that'd be more likely to be the case. So it's something I will try to level up and test to be certain, but this team at least worked for that type of setup. Now if we take it against some other people, so that was a speed team. If we take it against a few other teams, let's try to find someone who's at least similar level. Okay, so this is a meta team, so here the idea would be Redvelvet pulling Cotton forward, and then Clotted Cream hopefully sending either Dark Cacao or Caramel Arrow backwards, Wildberry hopefully protecting us from Claire and from Frost Queen, and then Sorbet trying to eliminate the line. They definitely have it in a speed build setup with the scroll and a feather, of course, for revival. But let's give it a test anyway. It's always good to see. And I want to walk you guys through the mindsets that I'm thinking when I'm building these teams. So as you can see, Redvelvet pulls forward. Sorbet gets the good line hit. We do lose Sorbet in this setup. They have way too much burst damage for Sorbet to live. But the rest of our team is still pushing forward and doing quite a good job, actually. Redvelvet's still even surprisingly alive. Yet again, that chunky body status. Last to die there. We did not take the win, but that's because of that feather that they have. Brought their important key cookie back. We did get more damage with Redvelvet this time, too. So if we had more damage resistance on Sorbet, then that would have been a better chance for us to win that matchup. But they just had quite a lot of burst damage between 4 different cookies that can technically burst damage. So it's not surprising that we lost that, but I do want to go through one more, see what the different changes may be. Okay, so here's 2 bursts, well, technically 3 if you count Cacao, and 1 tank. So hopefully we can take out their Cotton thanks to Redvelvet pulling forward, and then Clotted Cream moving Wildberry out of the way if we're lucky. So pull forward from Redvelvet, Clotted Cream pushing back, explosive damage in the area of effect, Monocle for the heal on the team, Clotted again with the mass damage. Yeah, we're looking a lot better in this setup just because they did not have as much burst capabilities, so our Sorbet survived and we took them down. So it's not a perfect team, not perfect by far, but the synergies is really in the stun and the displacement of the cookies, because that's what's really happening. Cotton is not having nearly as much a chance to heal, as you can see, 745,000 to our 2.6 million. So really the whole idea with Redvelvet and the change is pulling that healer, pulling that main support from the back to the front, and then Sorbet taking care of the job, or maybe even Clotted, depending on the combination of the two of them. And then that's how we get them in a bad position, because if they have no heals whatsoever, then we can out heal some of their damage and push the pressure onto their team as well. So I'd love your feedback on this team, if it's even something you'd remotely think is viable in the long run of the scheme of teams, especially because Wildberry's there for high defensive measures. And I would also just love your feedback on Redvelvet's skill time change and the stuns added. Is it something you want to use more? Do you want to use it in PvE, maybe in the Tower of Sweet Chaos? Do you think it'll be useful for some of episode 14? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Either way, thank you so much for coming by, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.